Good afternoon, everyone. This is Joni Welch with Workforce Go. I am the Regional Sales Manager here, and just so excited to talk with you guys today and talk about the ever-changing multi-directional or generational workforce. So I'm going to give just another minute for people to be able to dial in, and then we'll go ahead and get started. Want to make sure everybody can hear me. If you have any questions, there's a chat box that you are more than welcome to type me a question. So we'll give it one more minute. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and get started. Thank you again for attending our key HCM trends, managing today and tomorrow's workforce. This is all about today, how do you manage your ever-changing workforce? So we believe great businesses are powered by great people. To be a great business, you need to create and manage and engage your workforce. So we make workforce solutions that are purpose-built for your industry and all of your employees. As you know, technology is all around us in everything that we do really every day. Think about how much we all depend on technology to communicate and interact with each other. These are just some of the ways on the screen that people are interacting today. I know with my kids, Snapchat is huge, Facebook, all of those different communications. So we need to think about that when we're working with our workforce in our day in and day out functionalities at the office. So 5 generations working side by side. Those are the key drivers for a multi-generational workforce. Major disruptions in the workforce are having 5 different generations working side by side, each bringing influence by different life events and other motivators that drive each of the different workforces. So culture drives bottom line, as you know. Employees not only looking for pay, there are many other factors driving today's workforce, such as work-life balance, giving to the community, acceptance of different lifestyles. Companies need to be prepared also for a mass exit. You need to have focus on training and transferring that knowledge to the younger workforce. So the things that we'll be talking about today are really meant to make you think how to work and engage, with your workforce. So this is just kind of showing you the 5 different generations in the workforce today. You can see the different titles: the traditionalists, baby boomers, Generation X, millennials, Gen Y or Gen Z. They're all completely different. So there are radical changes in every industry that are being driven by people. So with the 5 different generations in the workforce, organizations must really understand how to motivate and keep their workforce engaged with the company's vision. Having access to analytical data plays a very important role in understanding these factors, which help companies make better business decisions that ultimately impact their workforce. So hiring and retention key drivers. Changing your workforce demographics by creating skill gaps and putting added pressure on employers to source that top talent. So if you think about it, think about while we're talking today, how are you retaining or gaining new people and new talent? With the average tenure of 10.4 years for baby boomers, but only 3 years for ages 23 to 34. That's huge. That's a huge difference to be able to think about that turnover and that you're retraining those people every 3 years possibly, and then having that knowledge gap between the different baby boomers and the new folks coming in. So also, with the brain drain, transferring that knowledge and skills is a huge challenge. So being able to help generate leaderships from the new generation. 84% of millennials believe making a positive difference in the world is more important than professional recognition. Not sure if you guys have thought of that or not, but that's huge to think that your organizations may need to be more involved in your community and things like that. So it all starts with engaged employees and having the different thoughts, with those different generations. So it's a great business to need to create and manage the engaged workforce. But there are a lot of things you need to manage to create the engaged workforce. Things like performance, benefits, compensation, skills, training, schedules, for example, and giving them tools to access their information, managing preferences and personal information, or even down to easily enrolling in their benefits. It's important to get these things right to keep your employees engaged. It's hard to drive engagement with disjointed processes. If you lack the information you need to make a good business decision and true visibility into what actually happens with your workforce. So that's the reason of thinking about having a solution that is a single platform, a unified processes. These processes are both time-consuming, error-prone, such as double data entry, multiple employee records, lack of true integrated data, cobbling them all together. So that's where that true unified platform comes in. A lot of systems are kind of disjointed that has those features that, you're entering the same thing in multiple different places. So you want to think about that unified platform, having everything all in one place seamlessly, and that also then drives to your reporting capabilities and having that onboarding process and real-time data for all that critical reporting. So Human Capital Management Solution, ours is a single unified platform for the entire workforce. It's going to help retain and attract and engage your workforce. With the challenges of attracting and retaining quality talent today, human resource professionals need an integrated set of tools for managing and nurturing their organization's most valuable advantage from pre-hire to retire. While most HCM systems today have pieced together HR, payroll, talent, and workforce management components to create the illusion of one solution, Workforce Go offers a common platform for end-to-end HCM with recruiting, onboarding, core HR, training and development, benefits, benefit enrollment, performance management, compensation, succession planning, time and attendance, scheduling, labor activities, absence management, payroll, and labor analytics. So I know on the call today there are different types of folks. We have current clients perhaps listening in to see what other features that they may not have built out. We have prospective clients possibly on the call. So when you're listening to the different areas of need, when you think about your different multi-generational workforce, think about the features that perhaps maybe today, are in different systems or they're on spreadsheets and things like that, that we can help you have that all in one place. So with Workforce Go, the solution is embracing your entire workforce, salaried, hourly. Really think about where no employee is left behind. It's delivering you end-to-end employee lifecycle management. So some of the things that are really important to help achieve business objectives is accessibility. It's a cloud-based solution, mobile app. It's giving you that single employee record. So it is everybody's in the same system, I'll say. So when you're thinking about those systems that you may have or have worked on in the past that are disparate with different solutions, you might have multiple logins, things like that. With our solution, it's a single sign-on. Everybody's in the same system. It's just dependent on permissions and security rights, but it's a single employee record. So it's a very unique solution that can grow with your organization. You don't have to use the whole system at once. You can definitely build out the different areas as you grow, or if your business changes, and that's, part of today is seeing all the different features within the system. But what we're also giving you is a dedicated consultative approach. So it's a dedicated team of experts ready to help you at any given time. So being able to pick and choose the different parts of the system, but then also have that dedicated support for you guys. So looking at this is kind of capturing the three main pillars of the system: human resource management, workforce management, and payroll management. So with HR, with the challenges today in attracting and retaining steady pool of quality talent, HR professionals need an integrated set of tools for managing and nurturing the organization's most valuable asset, from pre-hire to retire. From recruiting, hiring, onboarding, to benefits, compensation, performance management, our HR solution provides you easy-to-use, end-to-end HR solution with a centralized source for all employee information. So when we talk about employee self-service, it's driving your employee to one place for everything company related. So whether it's looking at their pay statement, looking at their benefit statement, time and attendance, requesting time off, it's giving them that one location to go to. The workforce management part, it really comes to managing the time and labor piece of your organization. So it's organizing as far as labor cost and the reporting capabilities to allocate that time that people are spending, and then having the mobile access to be able to record your time on the mobile app anywhere if you allow that to occur. Payroll is more than just creating a paycheck on payday. Managing payroll requires an integrated set of automated tools to streamline your payroll processing and ease the administrative burden, of course, placed on the payroll administrator. With our HCM solution, organizations can automate and streamline the entire payroll process and greatly reduce their payroll processing time. And you can think about different checklists and things like that in the system as far as getting the information out to different users in the system to do the things they need to do, that you're requiring them to do, whether that's requesting their time off, it's filling out their onboarding paperwork, all of that good stuff. So starting with employee benefit deductions in payroll, being able to, if you think about for benefits, you can always tie the benefits to deduction, but allowing that employee to do open enrollment or a life change in a system, being able to drive that employee through notifications and alerts and things like that. So what we're excited today to talk to you about and give you the access to a system like this is it's really the best of both worlds. We're giving you a purpose-built HCM solution, that true unified platform, end-to-end employee lifecycle management, real-time, anytime, with mobile access. But we're also giving you that expert consultative service to be able to work with you on an individual basis, giving you a single dedicated customer service rep. So we like to see that that's giving you really best of both worlds, a very personalized support and best-in-class solution. So now I'm going to switch over to my demo real quick and kind of show you what that looks like. So I haven't checked. Are you guys hearing me okay? I want to make sure, if you can't, if you could do a little chat and let me know that you're seeing my screen okay since I switched it. I'm going to assume that you can see it. So what I want to do is I want to go in the solution and talk to you a little bit about the full suite. And these are some of the areas that currently you may not be using all of these features and functionalities today, but we want you to see what they look like and how that will help you with the different types of generations working in your workforce. So I'm going to go through the eyes of an employee and show you the possibilities of what an employee can see and do in the system. So I'm going to go in as Josh Bronson. And remember, this is the idea of really empowering your employees to be able to see and do what you're allowing them to do in the system, rather than them coming to you and saying, hey, do I have any time off, or putting it on paper. You're giving them the access that they're looking for, whether it's through their smartphone or an iPad or their computer, to be able to do the things that they need to do company related. So we're looking at Josh Bronson's dashboard. This is just a possibility. This can be configured to what you would like him to see. But what I have up here, this would be your logo, your company logo here. So it's also configured to your organization. So when your employees are logging in, it looks like it's an extension of your website perhaps. This is his dashboard. I have the start widget here. These are some of the things that are mainly important that our clients tell us that they want their employees to easily get to. You can see timesheet, current timesheet, request time off is here. You can have a calendar that talks about their personal time off as well as perhaps the company so that they can see that someone has already requested that time off. They can get to their pay statements within the system as well as their mobile app. And most of the things I'm talking about today, you're seeing as through the eyes of a mobile app as well. So here's a pay statement example. You can have the timesheet right on the pay statement if you would like. This is awesome when they go to purchase a car and need to prove their income. The other things is you can allow your employees to enter their own direct deposit. I'm not sure today how many of our clients are doing that, but that is something that a lot of people want to have control themselves, entering their own direct deposits, changing their direct deposits. You would get a notification of that change, so you're aware of that change, but it's something that, you know, is allowing the employee to do that. Benefit enrollment is another area of our system that is huge to be able to build out to allow the employee to go through an open enrollment or a life change. So if I go in and look at a current open enrollment to give you an idea, this would be set up to your benefit plans. This is just my example. Here's an example of what medical could look like. You have the different options here. We have Aetna and Horizon, employee only, employee plus spouse, family and domestic partner. The employee can see the cost to them, to the employee, and the company contribution and how often is it coming out of my paycheck. What I love about this open enrollment tool is being able to compare a couple plans side by side. Think about that. This is a very difficult thing for some employees to be able to do, is to decide what is the best benefit for me or my family. So to be able to give them the option to be able to compare the plans side by side and really see into the plan of what it's going to cost me, what the premiums are going to be, the copay, the deductible, the out-of-pocket. You can even go a little bit further into the plan and you could email, or not email, I'm sorry. You can go out to the carrier website, perhaps a check to make sure your favorite doctor is on their list. You could upload the plan document for the employee to actually see the plan document to really make that educated decision on what plan is best for their family. Once they decide, they can select, or to the far left, waive that option. And then they would move on to the next benefit plan. Once they've gone through each of these areas, you can see with the supplemental life, we do have evidence of insurability. This is awesome to be able to have this form out here for the employee to download it, sign it. They can upload it back in the system. It ties it to this benefit plan when they select it, and then they can move on to the next plan. At the end, we have a confirmation of selections. This is what Josh has chosen. It's going to show him an estimate of what's coming out of his paycheck. Once he submits this request, it then sends an email to whoever you've decided within the organization that needs to go to approve or reject this benefit request. From there, we do have the capabilities as a streamlined integrated system to be able to get those carrier feeds out to the carrier. So we can do electronic carrier feeds for you going from this system to each of those different carriers. And then, of course, you have to think about a life change through the year, allowing them to go through a life change as well, which is a part of this that I was just showing you. The other part of the system, too, that might be something that you didn't add originally when you started with us would be performance management. So that's something that you can build out different performance reviews or profiles, I guess you would call them, and tie them to the appropriate employee. So what that's going to allow them to do is a 360 review if that's what your company has, that type of review. So it can go out to the employee and the supervisor and then HR. Perhaps with your organization, it's just managers reviewing. So you build the different performance profiles, tie them to the employee, and then the system will automatically be set to deploy that performance review out at the time that it should for that employee. So you can do a 60-day review or a 90-day, or maybe you guys just do annual reviews. but that's something to allow them to go in. So I do have a quick example of that. So this is a review for Josh. So this, if I go to the main tab, the information tab, this tells us it's an annual review and what the review period is. This to the right is the review that was built for you. So remember, this would be you building it of what's important to you for core values. This is all something you guys can set: commitment, customer service. You can choose the percentage value, and same with competencies, filling that out and deciding. Maybe your company only does goals, so your performance reviews would not have core values or competencies. It would all be about goal setting. So you can see you can set personal goals here, you can have company goals. But what it's allowing Josh to do as an employee is to go in and review himself. So he's able to come through here and pick from his pick list of outstanding, exceeds expectations, meets expectations, needs improvement, or unacceptable. You can see that he's chose outstanding and that he has typed, "I'm the best always." So of course, in the real life review, they would not be reviewing themselves probably like that, but this is just my example. So they would go down to each of these different areas and answer the different questions of how they feel. Once they submit that, it would then go on to whatever your workflow is in the system. Perhaps it then flows to the supervisor to review Josh, and then to HR. You can tie merit raises with the performance reviews as well. You can give the employee a legend with explanations of what outstanding means with the description next to it as well. The other things that I wanted to talk about is next to where your company logo is, these three little lines. This is what I call the electronic filing cabinet. This is giving the employee the information that they need to do whatever it is they need to do for the organization. So these things that are pulled out on the dashboard are just certain items that you may want out here for them to easily get to, but the electronic filing cabinet has everything you've allowed them to see within the system. What I like about that is we have a couple interesting features that will help them. So when you move to a new solution, there's always time that it takes for people to get used to the system and things like that. So under My Learning, under Employee, since that's their security profile, these are the different documents and videos to show them how to do certain things in the system. So in that case, you'll have better user adoption by giving them these tools to quick glances as to how to do something in the system. Perhaps they forgot how to request time off or save a report or something like that. So it's nice to be able to have that tool. The other tool that's pretty nice is the Paycheck Simulator. This is an exercise an employee can go through to, when they're choosing their allowances. So they just go through this actual exercise, fill it out, and at the end, it'll tell them approximately what their paycheck will look like. So that's another additional feature for them to be able to look at. The other things out here that may not have been on my dashboard for him is a leave of absence. My leave of absence is allowing the employee to request that leave. So again, this would be built out specific to you guys of what the possibilities are, and then the system will help track that FMLA for you. The other things you can have out here is company documents. Maybe you have a few documents that you want your employees to get to. I just have a couple examples out here that you can have. If you don't want them entering their direct deposit automatically, you could put a form out here. I have obviously a blood drive poster, that type of thing. But another driver of the system is going to help streamline your processes is onboarding. How are you guys onboarding all of your new employees? So with a system like ours, with our Workforce Go HCM, the idea is from, as I talked about, hire to retire. So you can bring these people in through applicant tracking and recruitment, where you build the job rec out in the platform, and it deploys it to the website. We have job boards you can post that to. But what it does is it allows the applicant to go and fill out the application all electronically, and then you can communicate with that applicant. You can build different templates in the system that the system will deploy at time of submission, thanking them for applying. Perhaps you want to communicate with them about a phone interview or in-person interview, and the system records all that communication. When you're ready to hire that person, there's a button that says hire this applicant. That information moves over into their employee record. So you're not re-entering name, address, things like that. Now, of course, you will have to attach at that point what their, negotiated pay rate was and those types of things. Assign profiles like security profile, benefits if you're attaching those type of things. But you're not retyping addresses and email addresses. Even their documents will come over, their resume and that type of thing. From there, you would want the system to perhaps deploy your onboarding packet. So that's something that I want to go through shortly with you to give you an idea of what your onboarding could look like in a system like the Workforce Go system. So here, once you hire that person, you can have an alert, an email to go out to that employee, welcoming them to your organization, having them go into the system and filling out that paperwork. And this is what that would look like. So you would build a checklist. So day of hire is what the employee would see. And these are all the things that would be in your packet for your organization. This is just my example. So if I go into an I-9 form, this is an electronic I-9 form. It does come pre-populated with the employee's information on. Anything not filled out, they would have to fill out, but they would have to answer the question to move on. The system will not let them go on without answering these questions. So they simply would submit. It will require an electronic signature. Once they agree to that, now you can have a workflow that sends that to whoever needs to fill out the other portion of it. So as you know, you still have to view those documents. If you wanted to, you could make a copy of them, upload them to the system, and tie it to this completed I-9 form for audit reasons. The other part of onboarding that's important to most of our companies would be the withholding form, being able to electronically fill out that withholding form. What I love about this feature is when you fill out the withholding form, it does fall directly to their employee record. So you as an organization are not going in and re-entering that Josh is choosing 1 allowance or 0 allowances. Once the employee does this and clicks submit and save, that's going to fall directly to his record because it's one integrated system, one single platform. The other things, this is where it will vary for each organization of what else you want to allow the employee to do, part of on-rolling. Direct deposit, you can allow them to enter their own direct deposit. You can have multiple direct deposits. We will help them know what is a routing number, account number, and check number, so it gives them that idea. Also, a check, so that they can check and make sure that that's their bank, which is nice. Again, once they submit that direct deposit, it falls directly to their profile. You're not re-entering that direct deposit. A 0 pre-note is done at that point, so you'll know if that's a good routing number and account number, so that employee can get their first paycheck as a direct deposit. Company handbooks, this is huge. Most companies have a handbook that they need the employee to read and sign off on. There's a couple different ways that you could present this. I have it here, 2 examples. The little arrow here is showing me that it's a PDF that I can download and read, but I also put a few pages in a custom form. So we have the ability to put custom forms in the system, and this is how I put the handbook. So I just put 3 pages of my 38-page handbook just as an example. So the last page is an acknowledgement page to have him electronically sign off that he's read the handbook. Again, you guys can do this a couple different ways. From there, I have just an example of a consent form. You can have multiple forms. I was talking to a company the other day, and they had like 5 different industry-specific forms that needed to be signed, read and signed, a couple, perhaps filled out. You can do a fillable form. So think about your checklist and your onboarding packets of what that would look like electronically and how this would help retain those employees to be able to do all of this themselves electronically. My other example here is driving them out of the system to a learning portal as well as a safety video. Looks like I might have a quick question. So one of the questions to go back is regarding the performance review. Scores always set, are scores always set in 5 tiers, or is that up to the employer's discretion? And you're talking about scoring them from the outstanding to not acceptable? I can look into that. I do believe that you can change that, but I'll have to confirm that with you, and I'll get back to you with that. Are clients, the employer, able to decide which leave of absence are provided on your site? Yes. Yes, that drop down would be for you to choose what's going to be in that drop down. The other question is, when an employee is adding his or her direct deposit info, will the HCM allow the employer to identify a due date on that page? So first or next pay can be directly deposited. Yes, you can set a time. I'm so happy you brought that up. That's a great question. So with your checklist, you can assign a date range of when they need to have those complete, and then you can watch the percentage of completion on that. So thank you for bringing that up. That was a great question. So keep the questions coming. I'll try to notice it a little faster next time. So from here, from onboarding, to complete the onboarding idea is, be thinking about how we want to get the orientations and those onboarding packets electronically within the system to help engage those employees to do those things on their own. So from here, I want to show you the other thing that we didn't talk about was accrual balances. This is huge for an employee to be able to see these things themselves, to be able to not come to their manager or HR and ask, hey, do I have any more time to take? You're empowering them to know that already through the mobile app or their regular portal that they get into. The other piece of time and labor would be, timesheets. There's multiple ways to capture that time. So this timesheet is showing you that Josh is clocked in at 9 and he can leave. I can even say he's going to leave at 1 o'clock today. So this is this type of timesheet. You can have those employees, as you know, that simply clock in and clock out. They can't just enter their time. So that's a stop and start type timesheet. And then we have other employee types that maybe it's just bulk hours. I worked 4 hours on this department, 5 hours in this other department. That's up to you. The timesheet is built for you guys. These are my cost centers or dimensions that are telling me where Josh is working. A lot of your employees may have a default department, and other times you need the employee to let you know where are they working today. So that's all specific to you and your cost centers or dimensions. So from here, I want to move into the manager view to show you what some of the things that are important for a manager to be able to get to. So I'm going to log out of Josh, and I'm going to go into Henry Larkin. So what I want you to notice is that the user interface is the same, but Henry has many more features and functionalities out on his dashboard, and he has more access to the system because he manages people. So for Henry, he has a couple different tabs here. You can see the different tabs, but on his main tab, he has company announcements. He has these start widgets, again, with important things that he likes to jump in and out. He has hyperlinks. Again, as I said in the beginning, you're empowering your employees to come to one site, everything company related. So if you have certain websites that are maybe industry specific, here I have Blue Cross and Blue Shield as an example. So instead of them coming to you and asking you, what website I need to go to for this or for that, you can put the hyperlinks right here on their dashboard, which is nice. The other thing Henry has, because he does manage people, is an exception report right here on his dashboard. But the things that I want to show you are under these different tabs. So you can have an attendance board of who's clocked in and who's clocked out. And each one of these views I'm showing you is a report view. So if there's another column that you wanted to bring in this report, that's up to you. The reports are very configurable to how you want them to be. Under the timesheet tab, this is some reporting for time and labor, since Henry is a manager of people. So you can see his time off awaiting approval report here. He has Brendan and Mitch. They happen to both be asking for the same day off. And you can see from here, when did they submit that time? So they both submitted it today, but you can tell that Mitch asked for it at 11:28 and Brendan asked for it off at 11:42. So to be fair, if Mitch has enough PTO to take, then Mitch would get that time off. So here you can go into the calendar and actually see his balances to make that decision of who, if he is able to get that off. Once you decide that, you can click approve or reject. It can send an email right back to the employee letting them know that they got that time off or not. The other report I have out here is a timesheet waiting my approval. And they can go through the different timesheets, click all of them at one time or individual, that's up to you. And then we have a missing punch report. This is allowing them to know in real time as their employees, whether they're clocking in through a clock, the mobile app, or their computer, that at any given time they're seeing into their workforce. So think about the power behind having a time and labor system that runs in real time. I talk to a lot of organizations that say they have no idea until the pay period has ended how much overtime they have, or patterns of an employee that's coming in late every day, or leaving early and things like that. So the power behind a system like ours is going to help you manage that workforce by having insight into real-time reporting. The other things that you may allow a manager to do and see, I'm going to show you underneath his electronic filing cabinet. So recruitment is one, obviously. It's all security rights of who you allow to do that. So you could allow Henry to manage job requisitions and applicants and things like that. You could also have him under My Employees and under Maintenance. You have all these different areas of things that he can work on with the employees. He can do what we call HR actions, which allows Henry to let you know that he wants to promote somebody perhaps, or do a pay raise or department change, things like that. It's all setting up the different workflows for that communications within your organization, but using this HCM to allow you to do that. So here's the employee actions here. So you can have all the requests, you can have promotions and performance reviews and things like that. So it's all about setting those permissions up the way that you want them. So from here, I'm going to go into Kathy Watts. So Kathy Watts in my demo company is a super user. So she has access to the whole system. So you can see it's the same user interface, but she has a lot more information than Josh did and a lot more information than Henry. Each one of these start widgets, and again, if you like the start widgets, you can have them. If not, remember, you can always get this information behind your electronic filing cabinet. So for her, she has these widgets here with the different topics in it, and then she also has her saved reports right here on her dashboard. One of the features I want to talk about today is giving you that analytical reporting. This is huge when you're working with multi-generational workforce, to be able to see turnover and be prepared as an organization for that type of stuff. So these are different dashboards, analytical dashboards, that's driving the information out of payroll, time and labor, and HR. So you can see here, it's just a picture. I don't have this live today, but you can see some of the example reports. Each one of these reports are clickable to be able to drive down and filter in to find out, down to a certain level of where that is driving from. So you can see I have an executive overview. These are different tabs of different views, of dashboard views. If I click into the time and labor view, this is another example of the time and labor overtime hours. You can drill down and filter it to find out where those overtime hours are coming from, which department, that type of thing. So what I want to show you with Kathy is an employee record. And I won't go into the whole details of that because I would also like to have time to run a payroll and questions. So here you can see my demo company. I do have it as I'm stuck on multi-generational. So multi-EIN. So I'm going to work in this EIN at the moment, and that's where I have my employee Josh. I can come in and go to his quick links. These are all the areas of Josh that I can just click into immediately to go to, because remember, it's one system. So I have time and labor information here, I have payroll information, but I want to go into his full record. So if I go into his full record and click on the main tab is his account information, his personal information, account demographics. You can tie wonderful pictures of your employees in the system. The profile area is telling the system how to behave toward this particular employee. So you can build different accrual policies in the system and tie them to the employee. So he is getting a standard accruals. Same with the benefit plans. If you have multiple benefit plans, he is getting the employee plans. He's an hourly employee getting a weekly payroll. He's getting an annual review. He's part of the 401k. His security right is that of an employee. You know, I talked about a few different times today allowing your employees to see and do what you allow them to do. you're setting that up in the system of telling the system what each person or employee type can do or see in the system. So he is that of an employee, so he has limited access. And we saw that, right, compared to him to Henry. Here are his managers. You have cost centers or dimensions tied to him, and then all of his accrual policies tied to him. We have account information, so this is telling us family members, his beneficiaries. You can have emergency contact showing, whatever you would like there. The payroll tab is all about payroll, so managing that base compensation, showing his history with effective dates. You have here rate tables that you can build in here, pay information, pay type, employee type, the EEO classification, all of that. You can build in pay grades, minimum, mid, and max, earning codes, deduction codes. Again, this is something that they'll be loaded for your specification. So if I go in and look at this commission one, this is just an example of what the dollar amount is. When is it coming out? This is showing monthly, but you have many options. If it's going to be, every pay, that type of thing. So if I go in to add a new earning code, this pick list is what you've told the system. So you have built this pick list yourself. And then you can go in and tell the system this area of how much it's going to be, when is it effective, when does it begin, is there an ending date? This doesn't have an ending date. You can tell how often is it coming out. You can have supporting documents, things like that. Deductions work that same way as earning codes. Here's the direct deposit on Josh. All his tax information is here. And then the system has the ability to set payroll alerts. So think of when you're running a payroll and you have a something that you need to do, a reminder of some sort. You set that in the system, and as you're running your payroll, the system will alert you that you need to get past that alert to finish and submit that payroll, which is nice to get those sticky notes off your desk. So when thinking about the HR part of the system and the record of the employee, again, because it's a single platform, it's all right here for you. So I have job change history showing. So this is a report regarding all his different job changes. Benefit plans can be loaded in the system. And then as you know, we can do that open enrollment. So these are his plans. The custom HR fields, this is something that you can build out if you guys have any industry-specific things that you're tracking that you want to have in the system. I built this out for COBRA just to show you as an example of COBRA eligibility dates, things like that. I had an organization ask me, how do I know if a relative is working at the company? You can pull that out as well. Here I have the performance reviews that are tied to Josh. I have a leave of absence profile tied to him for FMLA. Checklist, I have a couple different checklists tied to him, a performance review one and a new hire that I showed you through Josh's eyes. Trainings and certifications, this is something of interest to a lot of our organizations to be able to track trainings and certifications. So it's helping you keep up with your workforce. By engaging them, you can allow them to enter their trainings and certifications, or you can, it's up to you. But you can set it up to show last completion date, renewal term, their grade, when it expires, to then allow the system to email that employee in advance to say, hey, you need to go get that renewed, and cost to employee and cost to company. And then this is helping you manage, this is Josh's, but you can go into the ethic training itself and how you built that out, the specifications, and then see all the employees tied to that particular training. So you can assign a course to an employee to go out and get something completed, which is nice. The other part of the system is all about tracking disability, discipline, incidents. How are you guys managing that today? Document storage, it does have unlimited document storage. So you can see these are Josh's personal documents tied to his record. And then here I have that we're tracking his education. You can track skills, workers' claims, vehicle, credentials, and assets. Where are you tracking who has a company phone, a key to the building, computers, things like that. This is something to think about when you're offboarding somebody, to be able to pull a report to see what equipment you need to get back. Or perhaps you just need to do an upgrade on phones or computers and things like that. Affordable Care Act monitoring. So imagine as they're clocking in and clocking out, this module is helping you manage for the Affordable Care Act to know what your status is at any moment, company-wide or employee. So this is Josh's personal one. And again, it's built out to you. Workforce Go has the ability on your behalf to print those forms and submit those for you electronically. It's up to you. The 1094 and 1095C forms. We also have a feature called Advanced Scheduler. That is something that can be built in the system. It's typically tied to skills and budgeting. It's allowing, when you build the schedule, to deploy it out to the employees and have them swap shifts and things like that. If you don't need that advanced, we do have regular scheduling within our normal time and labor area of the system, where you just assign, a schedule 9 to 5 or whatever those schedules are, but you're not allowing them to swap shifts and things like that. We also have employee perspectives. Think about this. I don't have this completely finished, built out in my demo company, but it's giving you an idea of how happy is an employee, tied to, benefit plans, performance reviews, things like that. Their liability obviously would be timed to their timesheets and that information. So once I'm out of the employee record, I'd like to go in and run a quick payroll just to show you what that can look like. My steps in my payroll processing might be different than yours because this is a demo company, so I kind of have mine wide open to, showing different companies what their possible steps could be depending on their personal payroll. So if I go into this payroll, my step is going to go over to time prep. So now we've given the employees the ability, right, to clock in and out, your managers the visibility into their time and labor for each of their departments, and then we've given you a global view of the whole company by offering the real-time time and labor information. So what that's also allowing you to do is when you're running your payroll, you can see it's asking you, or it's telling you if there's any pending time off requests. So if a manager has not completed one, you would have a number here that would drive you into that request. At that point, you can decide to reach out to that manager and say, hey, Henry, you didn't complete this time off request for your employee, or you can do it yourself at that point. Go in and look at that and approve it. So what you want to do is you want to be able to process those records. So we're going to process those timesheets, put them all together. A snapshot are for those employers that are running a semi-monthly current. This is a whole nother feature. If you are, ask us about it. If that's something that you need help with, we would love to be able to talk to you about that. From here, I'm going to go over to my time prep. At this point, you can add your new employees, edit any of your employee records, but you want to initiate that payroll. So what that's doing is it's getting those pay statements ready. You would want to sync your time. So if you go ahead and sync that time, what that's doing is that's essentially putting that timesheet on the pay statement that I showed you that Josh had. And now we can go in and actually look at pay statements. So the power behind a system like ours that has real-time, anytime, is currently possibly the system that you're using when you are running your payroll and you make a change. Perhaps you have to wait for your provider to give you reporting on that. And then you have to go back in and make another change, wait for those reports. Our system runs in real time, as I've mentioned multiple times. So when you make a change in the system, it's reportable right then. You're not waiting on reports to show up. The reports are available at any moment. So if when I come in and look at Josh's pay statement here, I can see he has a commissions payout of $1,500. So I want to go in just for demo's sake and change that commission amount. So I'm going to go in under the edit. The little pencil is an edit. So I'm going to go in and change that commission to $500. So as I'm typing it and click save, now I'm going to go back into that pay statement and review that pay statement, and it changed it to $500. So the power behind a system, it's allowing you to do your job more efficiently by giving you the powerful tools to be able to make those changes, have them reportable right then. So from here, if I'm all set with my pay statements, I don't need to do anything else. Everybody else looks great. I can go in at this moment and see these reports right now. So when I go into this general ledger summary, I'll use this report as an example of our reporting as well. So here's a general ledger report. I have not submitted my payroll yet, but this is what it looks like at this moment. I could go in and add different functionality. So I'm going to go in and select columns. These are all the things that are part of this report. And we have 150 standard reports in the system, and you really take a standard report and you change that report, and then you would save it and rename that report. So that report comes up with those data elements every time for you. So my example of changing the standard GL report is adding region and role. So you can see it added it at the bottom of my report, but I'm going to arrow it up here and put it right after department project position name. So once I select columns, it's taking me to that report, and here's region and role. It's that easy. So it's a very robust reporting system, engine, whatever you want to call it, but very user-friendly. Very easy to configure these reports how you need them to be. If I love this report the way it is, these are the data elements I always want this report to run with, I would come up here and save my settings. I also have the ability to export it in multiple formats. So I know we only have a few minutes left, so I'm going to take a break and look at some questions real quick. So our employees do not have employees clocking in and clocking out daily, but they provide total time worked at the end of each workday. Does your system permit that option instead of in and out? Absolutely. They can record that time at the end of the day. They can record it at the end of the pay period. It's really up to you. It's just a matter of setting the timesheets up that way. So that's not a problem. Any other questions that we might have out there? I'll give a couple minutes for anybody to ask another question. Well, I don't see any other questions, so I would like to close out by saying thank you so much for your time today. I appreciate spending the last almost hour with me, allowing me to help understand the multi-generational workforce and how Workforce Go might be able to give you those tools. Well, we know we can give you those tools to help manage those different workforces more efficiently than you may be today, and empowering your employees to be able to use these tools themselves rather than coming to you. So thank you again for your time today. Have a wonderful day. We appreciate you.